Boxing truth here. Deontay Wilder's desperation to fight Anthony Joshua is laughable. It's very laughable because how bullshit it is. Wilder is being smart, using the fake call-outs and the fake pressure to fight Joshua next when he knows damn well that the fight most likely won't happen next. Since Eddie Hearn has to do all the work when it comes to this fight to getting made. The fight's going to get made because of Eddie Hearn. He's the one that has to place the offer. He's the one that has to do all the heavy lifting, run the numbers, put on the venue, put on the network. Because Wilder's team, all they do is talk shit about wanting to fight next. They talk about how potentially this fight could make more money in Las Vegas, and potentially, yes, it could. But I find it very striking that these guys talk all this shit with Wilder's large representation. This guy has way too much representation. He's got a fake promoter in DeBella. Whether he has a contract signed with him or not, nobody really knows. No. Eddie Hearn believes they don't have any contract paperwork together. He has Shelly Finkel as his manager. Shelly Finkel all of a sudden is speaking out on the situation. Haven't seen this guy in years. Didn't even know if he was still involved in boxing in some capacity since he gave a lot of his fighters away to Al Heyman. But he's still involved with Deontay Wilder's career. He has Heyman as an advisor. He has a co-manager in Jay Diaz. So that's a whole lot of representation. I mean, what do you take home after all that? After all the cuts they take out of your purse, Deontay? Like, shit, man, that's just too much representation. But it's funny how bullshit Deontay's desperation to fight Joshua is, because they're not making any moves and trying to make this fight happen. They want the fight to happen in America. It's pretty obvious from Shelly Finkel's statements. Wilder's team, they feel the fight can do more business there because they feel the Vegas casinos will offer a lot more money than anywhere else in the world. And he could be right about that. So why not just make an offer if you guys are that desperate to fight next? But you guys don't. So this is just fake pressure from Wilder, to get the fans talking, to get people on his side. Even though he's, from the outside looking in, he looks like a protective fraud. Because while Joshua is fighting worthy contenders, taking risk in his last two fights, even taking a risk against Charles Martin in his 16th fight? I forgot. Very early in his career. People can say Charles Martin lay down, but I seriously doubt it. Just Martin didn't show up that night. The setting, the situation, the event was just too big for him. And he laid an egg. Happens in boxing. But this is what makes Wilder's pleading and begging not believable. Because while Joshua is fighting real fights, not fighting hand-picked, Heymanized controlled fighters, or fighters that are going to lay down for him, he's fighting guys that are coming to win, that are worthy contenders. And Wilder continues to fight hand-picked, Heymanized controlled puppets that are hired to lay down for him. You've seen it in a number of fights. Stavern didn't show up. Threw 4 punches in the fight. Malik Scott laid down for him. Look at all the opponents he fought prior to his world title shot. I mean, Wilder's had, maybe one real fight in his career? And that was the first Stavern fight since Stavern wasn't going to lay down for him in that scenario, being champion, trying to defend his claim. That's the only real fight Wilder's had, from what I see. And he won the fight. Kudos to him. But he's done nothing since, man. And you're going to continue to fight hand-picked, Heymanized controlled puppets to continue your sham reign. This is why Joshua gets more respect, because he's a real fighter. He's not manufactured. Yeah, I don't. He was getting schooled by Klitschko. Yeah, the stoppage was a little premature, but he showed a lot of heart in the fight. He recovered from that knockdown, the schooling session he was getting. He was taking in that Klitschko fight, and he showed a lot of. He showed a lot of potential. He showed a lot of things in that fight that were good. Even though he was losing going into that fight, into the last round, he was able to recover and knock Klitschko down twice and pull out a stoppage, whether it was premature or not, whatever. But I have a lot more respect for Joshua because he's doing a lot more in such a shorter time frame. He's being fast tracked like no other, like very few heavyweights in the past. Very few heavyweights are doing what he's doing, and he's getting by simply because of his abilities. He also has heart, and he can fight. He's formidable. But it's impressive that he's able to get by with this little experience he has, knowing that the heavyweight division is much different than other divisions. Most guys don't mature until their 30s in the heavyweights. This is a very young heavyweight in Joshua, only 28 years old. Very limited amateur background. Not a finished product, and he's able to perform and do what he's been doing in such a limited pro boxing career, only 20 fights. And Wilder continues to be protected, continues to have bullshit mandatories. He's gonna have another hand-picked mandatory for him in Dominic Brazil. So that's what makes Wilder's pleading and begging for the fight next not believable, because his team doesn't take any action. They talk. Shelly Finkel talks to Eddie Hearn about a Dylan White fight, wants a promise for a Joshua in the fight contract. And Eddie Hearn has been maintaining the same thing for months. The fight will happen where he feels it's the best time and setting for that fight to happen, which is a stadium fight in the summer or early spring. What's the big fucking deal? You have to wait an extra 2-3 months for the fight that you guys want. Let it do it on Eddie Hearn's time frame, since he's the one that has to make the offer. He's the one that has to do all the heavy lifting, since Wilder's team can't generate shit where they're at. And they're begging for a fight so bad that they're not willing to take action for and trying to set it up. You guys want the fight in the U.S., obviously, but you're not making any headway. You're not making any progress in trying to send Eddie Hearn an offer and enticing him over to come over to the U.S. and do a fight in Las Vegas, since that's really where you guys want the fight to happen. It's all bullshit from Wilder's team. You're going to see Joshua continue to shit on Wilder's resume. In the coming months. And Eddie Hearn has stated that perhaps they'll just wait until the summer for Joshua's next fight, going right into the Wilder fight. It's very unlikely, though. Most likely Joshua will take an interim fight around the February-March time frame. He's already sent out an offer to Joseph Parker. It's up to Parker's team to take that fight. I'm having serious doubts Parker does take the fight, because they want to hold on to the WO strap a little longer, get some voluntary defenses, some money-making voluntary defenses. But any solid contender has the potential to beat Joseph Parker. So maybe Parker's team, if the deal is enticing enough, could opt to fight a Joshua unification next. If the Parker fight doesn't happen, they could fight someone in the WBA rankings. Could be Povetkin in line for a mandatory title shot if WBA enforces it. The point is, Joshua's going to try to look for real fights in the meantime, while the Wilder fight is being put into place for a showdown sometime in the summer. And Wilder, his opponent's already set. He's going to fight another in-house fight against a Haymanized fighter that will be controlled and manipulated to possibly lay down for him in Dominic Brazil. It's a decent fight, but it's PBC, it's in-house, and who knows if Brazil is going to be able to give an honest effort or whether he has to lay down for Wilder or not. But it's going to be funny to see if Wilder even steps up in case the fight with Anthony Joshua delays for some reason. Because what if Tyson Fury gets his license back sometime early next year? He's talking about going into big fights right away, not even taking tune-up fights. So what if Fury's ready to go by the summer of 2018 once he has his first fight out of the way? It could be the similar situation like Ali. Comes back after 3 years, fights a #1 contender in the division, then fights Joe Frazier. History repeats itself in heavyweight division. Tyson Fury is a little bit like Ali in some ways, in terms of being exiled from the sport for a certain number of years, comes back, perhaps fights a #1 contender, whoever that may be in the heavyweight division. Could be Ortiz, it could be Povetkin, it could be somebody else. But what if Fury's ready to go in the summer of 2018 and Wilder is still bitching and moaning and acting like he wants a fight that his team makes no action in trying to get? Then Joshua's going to get fed up. Eddie Hearn's already getting fed up because you guys talk too much shit but don't back it up. Eddie Hearn's the one that's going to make sure this fight even happens, has potential of happening. He's going to send over the offer, and it's up to Wilder's team to take it. And Wilder has no options. He can't fight Joseph Parker. Eddie Hearn already explained it. I've explained it in past videos. There's no money in the fight. Wilder's not going to pay 7 figures to Parker to come over to the U.S. because he can't afford it. They can't generate that type of money with Wilder. Not for a Parker fight. Doesn't matter. He's going to fight who his team tells him to fight. A guy that's safe, that keeps him in the winning column. And Joshua is going to continue to take worthy fights against worthy contenders. And if Wilder continues to, and his team continue to talk shit, but not show any action and trying to take the fight, then Joshua and Eddie Hearn are going to get fed up, and they're going to set their sights on Tyson Fury, which is a much bigger fight in their eyes anyways. And it really is a much bigger fight in the boxing world, especially on UK soil. So it's going to be funny in the coming months when Joshua is fighting worthy contenders or unification bouts, and Wilder continues to fight the opponents he's been fighting. Nobodies, unworthy contenders, paid off in-house fights for guys to lay down for him. And we're really supposed to be clamoring for this fight, while Joshua continues to take real fights and Wilder continues to prove that he's a protected bum. I want the fight to happen as soon as possible, but I understand why the target date is for summer of 2018. I can wait an extra 3 months, no problem. I can wait an extra 3 months to see Joshua knock Wilder the fuck out. But I'm having serious doubts that this fight even happens in 2018. And it's not because of Joshua or his team or Eddie Hearn. They're willing to make the fight. It's Wilder and his team, who have yet, in 39 fights, taken a real fight like this. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.